All right, we're about to start the show. I'm gonna give you a couple minutes to get in here. Happy Saturday. Today we got a special guest joining. Oh yeah. All right, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Come on, do some makeup. Give me makeup. Okay, put a 1 in the chat. You can hear the sound of my voice. Put a 1 in the chat. I don't know where you at. Put a 1 in the chat. Your Twitter, YouTube. But we got some business to handle today. All right, guys, need my theme music. Let's go.
Yeah, from the culture
to the courtroom.
This is true fun cut. From the culture to the courtroom, front row seats. When Dennis Byron speaks, history speaks. From the culture to the courtroom, front row seats. When Dennis Byron speaks, history speaks. From the culture.
No cap, no spin, just facts. If it matters, we cover it. On Shreddy B.I.B. Ooh, Clara when I know. Ooh, it's shit the Dennis Byron show.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right. Okay, so listen up. I have a special guest joining me today. She should be here in a few minutes. However, we got to get into the show. We have to get into the show, and I'll tell you why. I have to travel, and I don't want to, take up too much of your time either. It's Saturday. A lot of you could be anywhere, but you're over here today. Okay, so the reason why we have to do this show today about this subject matter is because a couple of days ago, I saw a Instagram post by Pastor Jamal Bryant, the pastor who is in Atlanta at New Birth. I saw the post where he says in the post essentially that the boycott is over against Target. So I'm like, okay, the organizers got their demands reached, and according to him, it was 3 of the 4 demands. And so I said, okay, so I got on my Instagram page, and then I told my people, that the boycott is over, as per the words of Jamal Bryant, Pastor Jamal Bryant. Immediately after I made my post, a good friend made a comment under the post and said the post is not accurate because the boycott is still happening. So I said, wait a minute, what are you talking about? I got on the phone with her. I said, wait a minute. Pastor Jamal Bryant said it was pretty much over. People can, choose to go back or not. So then I start getting these DMs and alerts saying, hey, not so fast. There's a problem with the family. And you'll say, well, who's the family? The family is those who have taken up crucial issues in the black community. And that would be, and I'm not, if I don't mention your name, that doesn't mean you don't take up crucial actions in the community when it affects us. But in this particular instance, this boycott was being organized by more than one organization or individual. So we have Nikema Levi Armstrong out of Minnesota. Then we had Tamika Mallory out of New York, along with my son, the General. And then we have Pastor Jamal Bryant here in Atlanta that all took part in this organizing of the protests. So I'm assuming that each one of them were on board with the initial press release that Pastor Jamal Bryant held, where he essentially said the protest was over because Target reached 3 of the 4 demands. And prior to me making my post on Instagram, I added a comment to his page and said, as long as there are checks and balances to what you're saying, as long as there is a way for these demands to be audited and not just a statement, because a lot of times you see companies put out statements that are not necessarily accurate, and basically they'll lie in your face. They'll say, yeah, we got an agreement, everything. No, not so fast. And I will say that I have not went into a Target store since the boycott started. Have not been into the Target. I passed it. I was tempted, but I didn't walk inside. I would feel dirty walking inside of a Target, knowing that the reason why the protest started, it was because of the position Target took in issues involving DEI, the death of George Floyd, and according to Nikema Levi Armstrong, Target was pushing the prosecution of an innocent man. So she had a list of demands that she had put forth back in January of 2025. Others saw what she was doing and joined in. What I was not aware of, that there's some type of family feud happening as well. I'm gonna say family feud because I've covered protests, boycotts for a long time. And it doesn't just take one individual to make a protest grow. And I want to go into some of the things I saw Nakima say to Roland Martin on his show. And there are some corrections that have to be made. But I'm 90% behind what Nakima has said. And I say 90% is because you can't really stop something that you didn't start without everyone agreeing this is the way to go. Because it is a national boycott against Target and their practices. And I immediately, after I got more clarity, took the position is I'm not going back in Target until everyone's on that page. Because I can do without it. Because one of the things that we've learned from not crossing picket lines is that when you don't cross a picket line and people stand together, it brings about change. I seen a clip earlier this morning where someone was talking about boycotts doesn't work. Well, that's a lie. That was a lie from hell. Boycotts boycotts do work. Anything that can impact the bottom line of a corporation, it works. And it has, and you can't really say that just because this side of the town decides not to support it, that it doesn't have an impact. Because if they're receiving thousands of dollars, millions of dollars from a community, and they don't get that anymore, then what happens? They have to cut back on things. They had to cut back on a lot because they budget based on the community they've been serving. They have to purchase based on what the demand is. A lack of demand means lack of dollars and a lack of profit. So this notion that boycotts doesn't work is just ridiculous. They work. They've been working. They worked in the '60s. They've worked in the '70s, and that is just someone trying to distract people. When I hear they say protest doesn't work and boycotting doesn't work, it all works. And let me give you a backstory for those who don't know. Nikema Levi Armstrong was the same person that was charged recently by the Department of Justice for, according to the Department of Justice, entering into a church illegally. So she's not new to dealing with opposition because she's dealing with something right now, and she's about that life. When I say about that life, she's about standing up for her community. She's no stranger to this. And I will also say Tamika Mallory is. She's about that life. There are others. And I'm going to drop a name real quick for those who need to do their research. It's another person in New York named Erica Ford. For those who don't know, do your research. She's one of the OGs in the game coming out of New York. But then we have OGs in Atlanta. You have Gerald Griggs. You have Mahauli Davis. You have Smart. You have different organizers. You have Ti, for example. He didn't organize a protest, but he definitely supported protests and boycotts. So I'm not making light of that people's involvement is not insignificant. They're all significant because the more people to come together, you need people from different jurisdictions to make a national protest work, a national boycott work. So I'm not making light of that. And I don't want, I understand why Nikema's upset the way this went down. I understand it. But she also should realize that without getting the support of other cities, a national protest just won't work. You have to get the support of others. It's, no big me's or little u's. And you have to understand that this thing can't be successful without the impact of those leaders in those various communities. So when she got upset, she had a right to get upset because she was not even apprised that there was going to be a press conference happening in DC. And I thought that was odd as well. Like, there's a national protest. There should be communication with everyone involved, especially the one who started it. So with that, I want to just go over some clips I picked up. I'm going to be joined in the show in a few minutes by my co-host. She should be in here already. I don't know where is she at? Hold on a second here. Maybe she's in there. I don't know. Make sure she's not just sitting in the background. Okay, she's not here yet, but she should be here shortly. I'm gonna play this one first, and this one kind of put things in context. No, which one should I lead with? I'm gonna lead with this one because this is the one that got people upset.
Yeah, spoke to what CEO Michael said to the 400,000 employees in terms of us not
Okay.
being treated with the highest level of respect. And the question that has been asked of us over the last year of 35 Fortune 500 companies who have walked away from DEI, why did we pick Target first? And the answer to that resoundingly is Target is the only one we invited to the cookout. They were the only ones we felt were kissing cousins. They are the only Fortune 500 company that got a hood nickname. We called them Target because we had let them into the house. And so it was not just a abandonment of DEI, but we felt as if it was a betrayal to it. Target exceeded not just the 2 billion by Easter, what they'll do at the 97% mark, but in our meeting with Leader Mallory and Bishop Daughtry, they went above that with $100 million in grants.
Credit for leading things, which they should, because we all lead in our own right. But it took real work every day, even when at times we felt a lot of things. Sometimes betrayal, sometimes just tired. You're fighting against a massive system. And the fact that we were able to stay the course is really special to me. And of course, Jamal, who is my brother, my big brother, and, his creativity, your creativity, let me not speak as if he's not in the room. Your creativity is incredible. What you have been able to do, not only in your life, but in your ministry and everything that we see happening, is you should be celebrated for it, because it is certainly, you had the thing that helped us to kind of bring this to another level. And we all needed one another. We all needed to play a specific role. And so I'm grateful to be here, and good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for those who are tuning in.
And accomplish in the future. Leader Mallory spoke to what CEO Michael said to the 400,000 employees in terms of us not being treated with the highest level of respect. And the question that has been asked of us over the last year of 35 Fortune 500 companies who have walked away from DEI, why did we pick Target first? And the answer to that resoundingly is Target is the only one we invited to the cookout. They were the only ones we felt were kissing cousins. They are the only Fortune 500 company that got a hood nickname. We called them Target because we had let them into the house. And so it was not just a abandonment of DEI.
So I'm gonna pause it right there for a second. So I heard what Tamika said, and I heard what Pastor Brian said. I think what is missing is, and I think I understand why Sister Nakima Armstrong is upset, because she was not mentioned from what I've heard so far in this press conference. She's not mentioned in this press conference. But who is going to be mentioned right now before we continue the press conference is my co-host, the incredible Crystal Jordan. EJ.
Good morning. Good morning, Dennis.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. You got the light beaming and everything. my manager made sure you looking right. Okay. All right. So I just played a clip. I don't know if you caught any of that, but I did play a clip of the presser. I want to kind of continue playing that, but I want to make sure everyone sees that you are in the building here. But I want to look at this press conference from a media perspective and what the optics look like.
Yeah.
And it's important to look at the bigger picture. And then we'll go into some of the things that were said. So let me bring bring this back up here, and let's go.
But we felt as if it was a betrayal to it. Target exceeded not just the 2 billion by Easter, what they'll do at the 97% mark, but in our meeting with Leader Mallory and Bishop Daughtry,
Now, before I continue, he just cited a number, 2 billion. Did you hear 2 billion? Did you hear 2 million?
I heard 2 billion.
Okay, so let's pin that number for a second.
shared, they went above that with $100 million in grants. $100 million in grants and scholarships to Black-led community organizations, surpassing the original commitment. So we are at $2.1 billion. The second is our ask was about investing in HBCUs. Target understands, as we do, that HBCUs is the incubator of the largest amount of Black doctors, Black lawyers, Black engineers, Black public servants, and biasly, Black preachers. And so HBCUs have curated for us at the highest level of capacity,
And that's probably why we're here right now.
even producing the first Black vice president. We are stone's throw away, and I must invoke the name not just of Howard University, but to our DC contingency, we also have to invoke the name of UDC that has locally been producing Black scholars around the DMV. In so doing, I want to give high commendation because Target has given $10 million to the Pensole Lewis College of Business and Design in Detroit. Now, I am a fourth generation HBCU graduate. I have children respectively, one at Hampton, one at Florida A&M, and one at Spelman College. By the way, none of them are on scholarship. I'm paying for all of it. But I was unaware until our meeting with Target of the only HBCU design school, which is Pensole Lewis College in Detroit, that was on the brink of closure until Target came and walked alongside them and gave them a gift of $10 million. I am grateful that that school is open. I have talked to students as well as staff that is there, and they are grateful for that robust contribution. On top of that, let me appreciate publicly that they have given upwards of $18 million towards the United Negro College Fund, another $8 million towards their Target scholars. They have identified our first HBCU that will be their flagship on how it is that they walk alongside HBCUs who have business programs so that those.
So, Crystal, so he's citing some numbers, some very big numbers.
Huge numbers.
Huge numbers. And I want to put that in context with what this protest and boycott started off about. We can't ignore the fact that those contributions, I haven't ordered it, but these are the numbers that have been put out there.
Right.
And if we request to see those numbers, someone that can say, hey, I ordered this, these are real numbers. The schools can attest to this because they would be the benefactors of these endowments or awards.
Right.
So we have to ask a question. Does this boycott harm those future contributions? Those are big numbers.
Those are huge. I mean, like 10 million for his alma mater, 8 million. I mean, he's throwing around a lot of really big numbers. One of my questions, I have a few, but one of the questions I have is, what was the timeline on these contributions, even in the mention of the United Negro College Fund? Because I have several clients that have products in Target, right, prior to this boycott. I'm wondering, is this a cumulative? Are these cumulative numbers, or are these numbers
Over
that
time.
have been donated since what Reverend Dr. Jamal Bryant referred to as a Target fast? Were these numbers that were given during the time of the fast, or are these cumulative, cumulative numbers from before up until now? Because the numbers are huge, and I also know that Dr. Reverend Jamal Bryant is astute in the fact that I think if he's using these numbers during the press conference, the numbers are true, but the timeline is not being mentioned, right? So it seems a bit unrealistic to me that these numbers would have all taken place during this boycott. I could be wrong. I'm just asking because we're not hearing that. We're hearing a lot of just numbers and connections and affiliations. But Target was involved along with a lot of other corporations, specifically right after the 2020, right? And then a lot of these companies withdrew their support once they felt like they were out of the clear and culture had gotten back to a place where people weren't paying as much attention. I'm just interested to know, are these numbers a direct result of this boycott?
And you make a very good point. You know, these numbers could be a part of. And how do we know this? We can look at the business annual report and
Mhm.
seeing where they made their contributions, and we can also cross reference that with the schools. But saying that, and you know, like, were they doing this in the midst of this protest? Because
Mhm.
it almost gives you the illusion that these numbers are a result of the protests happening and them doing corrective things to be able to bring this to some kind of closure. That's the way it's being. That's the way I perceive it. That, hey, he's citing these numbers. This must have happened within a year span. That's a lot of money for Target to give in a year span when their numbers have plummeted in sales.
Yeah, that's why I said it's a little bit, and I think that is a loophole, right? So if you were to say these are the numbers that Target has donated since a lot of these probably happened, I'm saying allegedly, and suggestively could have been overall, because we know that they poured a lot of money into DEI directly after 2020. It's just difficult to believe that these are numbers that have, because how long do you know the timeline on this boycott? What is the timeline been?
Well, it started January of 2025. It started January.
A little over a year for Target to have given, and we've said billion, and then an additional 100 million, and then 8 million, and then 10 million. Like, this just feels like these numbers are not necessarily directly related to January 2025.
And I'm going to say this. I believe, this is what I believe, that if a business is suffering in sales and they've been drastically impacted by way of not just the boycott, but the economy overall, I would kind of lean towards this may be what they have done leading up to the boycott, and because they rolled back their DEI initiative, this is and it's disingenuous if that's the case. And he is a doctor, you know, he should have, you know, I'm not saying it didn't. And this is where he has to come out and say, hey, I looked at the numbers. These numbers are from this period of time, because otherwise then it's misleading the public. And most people can deduct from this presser that, oh, they've done all this thus far. We might as well just, you know, show them some grace. But there were other things that Nakima Levi Armstrong had said in her response to Roland Martin. I want to play this as well. I'm going to bring this one down because I want you to listen to what she said and how this conversation went left real quick.
Conference, the National Press Club in D.C., where he declared the end of his more than a year-long Target fast. Many people said, how can you call for the end of a boycott when you were not the only person involved in the boycott? He took to his Jamal Bryant podcast to set the record straight. It was a more than 20-minute video he did. Here's an edited portion of his comments.
Before we start, I'm going to talk about the shirt. I'm going to talk about the shirt a little bit, brother Pastor Jamal Bryant. A lot of colors there, my brother. I mean,
it looked like Joseph's. It looked like from the biblical times of Joseph's coat of many colors.
If you were trying to get our attention, you did it. If that's that's what it takes. Hey, keep it coming. Well, now I won't say keep it coming. Tone it down a little bit, sir.
Thing I ever want to do is be a proponent of division or divisiveness. I want us to be together as one. This week, I failed at doing that. When it is that I called for the end of the Target fast. Most in our community and culture were disappointed, angry, frustrated, and bewildered. What did it mean? Have you sold out? Have you given up? You waved the white flag. And emphatically, the answer is no. Publicly, privately, to the press, and in conversation, I have heralded out loud the remarkable leadership of Attorney Nakima, Representative Nina, and Sister Soldier Tamika Mallory. I think that they are incredible leaders. And I don't want history to record that I tried to stand in the way of the leadership of warrior women. I absolutely tip my hat to them for their innovation, for their courage, for their passion, and their fire. It was my intention then, as it is now, to walk alongside them, but to never walk in front of them. Let the record reflect and show that it was Black women that started this movement. It was Black women who were at the helm. It has been my privilege to stand alongside them. I am grieved that because of the pain and the trauma and the triggers of leadership of days gone by, it was an immediate presumption that we have been bought off, or that I have been bought off. And I wanted to tell you, as God is my witness, I have not, and I would not. I am grateful to be free, to know that what it is that I do is because a charge I keep I have, and a God to glorify. In this year, I would be derelict and irresponsible if I did not take a moment to thank the Chamber of Black Commerce, led by their fearless director, Ron Busby. He walked alongside us and said, Jamal, while it is that you're calling people away from Target, you should be directing people to Black business. So when 300,000 people signed up at targetfast.org, they received a digital directory of Black businesses around the country, because we wanted to make sure that Black businesses thrived. Not only did we do that, but I want to thank 5 partner churches. The Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church in Houston, Texas, pastored by Marcus Cosby. Reverend soon-to-be Congressman Frederick Douglass Haynes III at Friendship West Baptist Church.
The reason why I'm playing this throughout is because I want you to pay attention to who he thanks and who he didn't thank, and then watch what happens afterwards.
My comrade at arms, Dr. Charlie Dates, in Chicago at the House of Hope. Reverend Stephen Green at Allen Cathedral in New York. And of course, right here in Atlanta, the New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. Last year, we set up bullseye markets where over 100 vendors went to each location, geographically, regionally, so that Black people would circulate their dollars and understand that we have a responsibility to exercise the Kwanzaa principle of cooperative economics. I want to pause and extend my heartfelt commendation to the Black businesses who over this past year have had to pivot and had to contort because of the adverse impact of this boycott. The Black businesses that were on the shelves of Target, who have seen a significant drop in sales because we were not there. We want you to know that we love you, we support you, we stand with you, and everywhere outside of Target that we can be of a benefit and an ally, I want you to know that we are committed to it. The authors who pulled your books off of the shelves because you stand in alignment and stood in agreement, I am most grateful for you making the sacrifice for the larger good. The last 72 hours have caused me to do a lot of soul searching to figure out where it is that we are, what it is that we've done, and what missteps were made. And I wanted you to be mindful that there were no private deals. And I've been grateful to be a part of it and excited to see your stick-to-itiveness and your passion. Even when it came to having to check me, I laid down on the train tracks. Y'all came and got me. And it was well-deserved, well-served, and it was well heard. And so to be clear, as hearing from Soldier, Tamika Mallory, and Representative Turner, and Nakima, they have every intention of moving forward. And I believe that this is the hour where Black women lead. I believe that this is the hour where Black men take their rightful place in their rightful position. I am their brother and glad to walk behind them or beside them and always available in any capacity, if necessary, to be able to be a partner. And I would ask that in this hour, that we would in fact take our cues from sisters. I'm glad to be a part of the journey and have been a part of what it is that God has called me to do in mobilizing congregations and churches and pastors all over the country. The real test.
Before I finish this, so his role, and I take nothing away from what Pastor Deral Bryan brought to the boycott. Tamika Mallory brought something to the boycott. Nakima Armstrong brought something to the boycott. We all can agree that no successful boycott would happen without involving people from various regions to come together as a collective. So I say that to say, when Nakima comes on in a few seconds, you're going to see what happens. And I want you to be honest about this part here. You should be honest about everything, but right here, how do you feel about what he said, but also her response to what he said?
Okay.
Test of who we are is, can you follow when you are not leading? Can you follow when you are not in charge? And I am humble enough to realize that I am graced to be a part of a company of amazingly strong leaders. And I'm grateful that you have taken this boycott seriously and you believe that this is something worth fighting for. I do not in any way, shape, or form claim to be the leader. I do claim to be a servant. And I'm grateful to serve. I'm grateful to be a part. And I'm excited about building a better community for this generation and for the generation that comes behind. Let's roll up our sleeves and do the heavy lifting.
Okay.
Jamal also said that Nina Turner and her group will continue to boycott Target. I confirmed that with her, and she'll be joining us on the show next week. Joining us right now is Nakima Armstrong, co-founder of the National Target Boycott, joining us from Minneapolis. Nakima, glad to have you on the show. First off, there's been all sorts of, a lot of people don't even understand the timeline, all sorts of who's doing what. And the reality is your group called for a boycott in Target, boycott of Target. Nina Turner's group called for a boycott of Target. Both of those commenced on February 1st. And Pastor Jamal Bryant's Target fast started on March 5th, which was initially supposed to last for 40 days and then go further. And so in terms of where, so talk about what has happened over the past year in terms of your organization in this boycott, and how have you been marshaling folks nationwide?
Well, first, I want to say I feel like I just watched a theatrical performance, and I need a palate cleanse after what I just heard. which I do not feel is genuine based upon my own experience in dealing with Jamal Bryant. He knew full well what he was doing when he flew to the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. to call a press conference trying to end the national Target boycott. The amount of upheaval that he has caused is absolutely absurd for us as a community to be dealing with when we have shown unity and coming together and withholding our dollars from Target Corporation. Remember.
Okay, so I did a Google search
Mhm.
and I saw the amount of national media outlets that ran with what Pastor Brian said. Now, the response to what he corrected has been quiet.
Right, right. Of course.
So
But that's normal though. I mean, I I first of all, I just want to commend Nakima for being honest. Like a lot of times we feel like we have to placate for others, but I felt like listening to that, first of all, Reverend Dr. Jamal Bryant should be a politician. He's very good. He's very good. He's very good with words and very charismatic. However, understanding the bottom line about this, I did feel like I was watching a performative plea, and also him being able to get himself out of what was going to become very ugly for him because people were seeing that there was divisiveness in the movement, right? But I think it is important, I feel like, we're talking about things that are within our culture, but it's also important for us to hold each other accountable. And so I appreciate her because of her position as a civil rights attorney. She cannot afford to be, in order to continue to have the trust of the people that she's representing in the movements that she's spearheading, she can't afford to not hold those in line with her accountable. So I appreciate the fact that she was very honest. That was very interesting. I want to hear more of what she has to say, but
it gets better. It gets better. Listen, it gets better. And again, I didn't agree with everything she said, but I understand her pain. One of the things that she did say was, she said this to Roland. She says, I am a organizer. You're a member of the media.
Mm-hmm.
The two would not work successfully without involving media to push your message out. So we can't ignore the fact that if no media shows up to your protest,
It
then
doesn't.
you don't reach a mass audience.
Right.
And social media has become the new legacy media as it relates to getting the messaging out there. So
But I think social media, yes, social media has become the conduit that most people hear. But I think even people on social media, there is still credibility when media outlets are the ones pushing the narrative, right?
Right.
You have a person, Dr. Jamal Bryant, to me, he became the visible leader because of the way he was pushing it. He was he went to People, but when he was on People magazine and people see that, then social media responds. They do work in tandem, even though you're able to, it gets amplified exponentially that way. But I think when Hip Hop Inquirer gets behind a message, then the average person who is not involved in media, who is just listening, the public audience does take those messages a lot more seriously because they hold those news outlets to be credible, specifically urban news outlets for our people. Now, when it goes mainstream, and you know that there's been a little help and it is benefiting someone else, but I do think that news outlets such as when Roland Martin's voice is very powerful, and when the average person sees that Roland Martin is promoting something and is a part of it, then they take that a lot more seriously.
And do you think that could be one of the reasons that Nakima may feel slighted because he garnered got garnered more attention on this protest when he didn't start it? Do you think that she may be a little, I hate to use the word salty, but a little let's just say, trouble that they didn't gravitate towards her. Coming off the heels of her being charged by the United States Attorney General for
Right.
the church situation in Minnesota, do you feel like she feels she may be a little slighted by the
She
media?
she definitely could. I also feel like Bryant did a quick turnaround in this conversation and was like, women are the leaders, right? However, when the initial publicity push went out for this, I did not hear him involving the female leaders of this.
Yeah.
I didn't hear Nakima's name mentioned. I did not. I didn't. I mean, Tamika Mallory, yes, to an extent, but for the most part, the media push celebrated Jamal Bryant. So I do. If she is having a little bit of resentment towards the way that was handled, it does go back. It goes beyond this. It goes probably to the beginning of the way this was done, because I didn't hear her name, and I followed this very diligently last year just because it was such a big. I felt like it was interesting that we singled Target out, and I was looking forward to seeing how other corporate giants would be involved, specifically Walmart, right? Because like I said, I had clients that had products and had been a part of Target's female minority entrepreneurship program. So I was interested to see why Target was singled out and we didn't continue to push forward with other corporations as well.
And she addresses that. She and I understand you can listen to her, but basically she said that because Target is headquartered in Minnesota,
okay,
Minneapolis, that was the place that they chose. So to your point, other businesses could have been targeted, no pun intended, by other organizers, but then that would have pulled away from the resources of these organizers to be able to get behind this particular movement. But what was the rules of engagement with other organizations and her? What was the conversation?
Right.
Like, because you got to have a strategy that is just not supporting of the business.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me because I honestly believe when I first heard about it and I saw Pastor Dr. Jamal Bryant leading this charge, I believe, looking back, if he had referenced and brought Nakima as a civil rights attorney into the conversation, I think it would have lent credibility to even to him and the movement, because I mean it did really well, but it felt like it was Jamal. But I feel like with her being in her position as a civil rights attorney and then being there and being involved, it would have been great to have him involve her in that narrative.
Let me say this. The Reverend Al Sharpton told many people during the start of this, around the start of maybe probably March, April, maybe May, that go support Costco, another corporation, go support Costco, and that is they are showing that they have a strong DEI program still in effect.
Mm-hmm.
So
I did that.
So he too did his part. So I think everyone's doing their part. But I see Sister Armstrong. She's taking a more hardline approach to dealing with the.
Well, she probably also knows. She knows more than that. There's a lot of the behind the scenes things happening here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's privy to that. And so I think that's why her response is so it comes across so harsh, specifically just in what I've heard right now, is because she knows what's going on behind the scenes. So she understood the initial response, and then she also is able to probably see through she
said some very interesting things too. I was a little troubled by some of the things she said just because I know some of the other players. But let's listen on.
For a company that's based right here in Minneapolis and all the harm that Target has done. Okay. So I am just so deeply disturbed at the actions of Jamal Bryant, not just this week with the foolishness of calling this boycott and calling an end to the boycott and claiming he didn't know what was happening, but from the very beginning, when I saw his attempts to co-opt the work of Black women organizers regarding this boycott, people who lived in the Twin Cities, which I specifically conveyed to him as to why this boycott was so important because of the promises that were made after the murder of George Floyd at the hands of the police. And what did he do? He gaslit me when I said, you are trying to co-opt our work. He had a publicist book him on shows like yours, CNN, The Breakfast Club, to peddle a false narrative, positioning him as the leader of this boycott.
But it wasn't.
What makes it even more
Nakima,
offensive
Nakima,
is the fact that women are the ones who have sustained this boycott. Black women, white women, because we control the discretionary income in our households. So you just subjected me to that. I had to respond to it. I couldn't just answer your question that theatrical performance didn't just happen.
But the boycott also didn't just involve him. You also had former Representative Nina Turner. You also had Tamika Mallory, co-founder of Until Freedom, and their organizations as well. And then, of course, it spread like wildfire. I mean, Target's memo that they claim was leaked drops January 24th. January 25th, Nina Turner and her organization calls for Target to put DEI back in place, or they were going to launch their boycott on February 1st. On January 29th, you posted on Instagram about your news conference and launching the boycott on February 1st. And then, of course, you had local folks who were on the ground. You had pastors and churches. And then, of course, you had the contingent here in Washington, D.C. that was protesting every week outside of Target. So it wasn't.
And we are the ones who live in the place where Target is headquartered. Let's not forget that. Because if any of these people had the power to call and sustain a boycott, then they could have done it in their cities. When you have places like Walmart, Amazon, many other companies that rolled back DEI, and all these people were silent. In our town, when things happen, guess what? We're boots on the ground right away. We don't have to be online calling for a boycott because Target is headquartered here in Minneapolis. So that is what gives us the advantage in this conversation.
But if
this is a hometown company that made a specific pledge in the aftermath of George Floyd being killed, and the people who stood up and fought for George Floyd were the ones who declared that this boycott would happen. So let's not get it twisted and bring in everybody and their grandma when you know full well that Target is headquartered here. That's why Tamika, that's why Nina, that's why Jamal had to go to Washington, D.C. to call this press conference, because they're not welcomed in Minnesota after their actions.
But Nakima, Target.
But disrespectful to people in Minnesota who have launched and sustained this boycott along with our people around the nation. Because I got to give it up to Black folks around the nation for having self-discipline, making a conscious decision that they're not going to spend their Black dollars in Target, and calling out the BS that we all witnessed this week.
But that's my whole point.
Brian tried to call off this boycott.
But that's
our people.
But that's my point.
Standing firm and not believing the hype from media outlets who are pretending that they don't know what the truth actually is.
But that's my point. There are people all around the country who have participated, and so even though Target is based in Minneapolis, you've had people across the country. You've had other folks in other cities.
It's a national boycott.
Right, I understand that. That's
around the country. But don't dilute the leadership of the people on the ground in Minnesota, because you and I had a conversation about this very thing, and I told you at the time that Jamal, Tamika, and Nina are not credible.
Okay,
the words of this is CJ. This is getting kind of
yeah. I kind of okay. If this feels a bit as if she's feeling like she was slighted, or even the work that she was doing is slighted. And while I understand some of it, at the end of the day, the overall message and the overall point is for these companies to understand that they cannot operate in taking our dollars and not supporting us, right?
Absolutely.
So it should not. So in my perspective, we have to have the goal should be unification And this feels very much like territorial. This feels a little bit more like a territorial.
I don't like that feeling. I do not like that feeling. Just my experience seeing how successful protests work. She essentially, as President Nurse Linda says, she done kicked people. She kicked everybody out the cookout.
She did. She did. I don't like that. I didn't. And two things can be true. One person could be a bit performative, but and then another person could be it sounds a bit bitter. And it also sounds like, because she might not have had the resources, because we both know Jamal Bryant's publicist very well, and she did a great job. She did a great job, great message. I think that it could have been a little bit more inclusive as opposed to just focus solely on him. But I also feel like, and I know this from working in PR for years, people want to hear the message from who they want to hear it from.
That's right.
And she does not have the same audience that Pastor Bryant has. So if you go to a outlet, specifically a big mainstream outlet like People Magazine, while they may know there are other people involved, they may want to highlight and spotlight and focus on who has the biggest audience and who has the audience that would cross over to their readers, right? Their subscribers, their audience, their personal audience. So it could be that the opportunity to involve others was not left up to Pastor Bryant's team. It could have been, we want to hear from him. He is extremely charismatic and does have a huge, one of probably the biggest churches in the country, Black churches in the country. But the two things can be true.
So this is where I had a problem with what she said. At that point right there, that is not a good look for the Black community.
It was very territorial. Because I live here, I should be the one to be in front.
Yeah, you may have an idea, but you need people and resources to get your idea to its fruition. I appreciate Pastor Bryant coming out and and correcting some of the things that happened, but she went there. Let's be honest. She went there. Like that is you're isolating many people, and they hear your name, they're gonna say, I
don't know who that is. When you actually called me, I heard Nikema, I thought of Congresswoman Nikema Williams, right? I'm not familiar with this lawyer. I'm happy to get to know what she's doing, and I think it is important for her to have boots on the ground. But this conversation with Roland Martin felt very emotionally charged. It felt very personal.
It did.
And as I listened a little bit more, I don't think that's a good look either.
No, I think that she was a bit emotional, and you know what I'm saying. When you get too emotional, but you don't isolate other people who have a strong voice, because again, the messaging coming from Tamika and from Pastor Jamal was more of a calmer approach to the situation.
Well, it was more based in and solution driven. This feels very much like I'm fighting over who gets the success, and really the success should be to our community. It shouldn't be
absolutely. However, I felt like just looking at this next clip, felt like we might have been bamboozled, because listen to what this reporting sounds like. And I'm going to play this one now, family. We'll go ahead and put that there on the screen. You tell me what you think about this one here. We're going to remove rolling. And we're going to add her to the screen. Let's see what she has to say. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen this, but when I saw this, I said, wait a minute. Here we go.
The local organizers of the nationwide Target boycott are doubling down, saying it isn't over yet, despite conflicting reports today. The boycott started more than a year ago after the Minneapolis-based retail giant rolled back its diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Morgan Wolf has been working on this story this afternoon and has the details, including a response from Target.
That's right. Well, organizers just gave an update in the last 90 minutes, led by activist Nikema Levy-Armstrong. She says that this boycott will continue, and the man who claimed that the boycott was over didn't start the boycott and won't be the one to declare when it ends.
Target fast is coming to an end today.
For more than a year, some have boycotted shopping at Target after the company quietly rolled back on its DEI initiatives before President Trump took office.
So they got to search their heart to give an account for why you would do something that was so progressive, so beautiful, so wonderful, and so righteous, and then bend the bigotry so quickly.
Dr. Jamal Bryant says that they reached an agreement with Target to fulfill previous diversity pledges. Target told KARE 11 that's not true, but they are pleased to be moving forward and continuing their support of community organizations. While out-of-state activists say that the boycott is over.
And from the beginning, we said that the Target boycott would be indefinite.
Community leaders like Nikema Levy-Armstrong say otherwise.
Target chose a side. They chose to stand with Donald Trump, fascism, tyranny, and authoritarianism, and we, the people, chose a side.
Do you think Target has had a really turbulent past year?
Yes, definitely. And Target has a lot of issues that they need to fix. We've got this new CEO, and I think he's trying to go back to the basics.
University of Minnesota professor George John pointed out that Target has struggled with sales beyond any boycott.
It's very difficult to find examples of individual boycotts that actually work unless they can gather support from larger institutions. So in this particular instance, I don't think any of those boycotts or controversies that Target has found itself in has gone beyond the group or groups supporting it.
Target did share with me also that over the past 5 years, the company has invested $100 million into Black-led community organizations. And since 2021, Target has awarded $10 million to more than 1,000 HBCU students.
See, I told you about the numbers, right?
I confirm what I said initially when I heard those numbers. I said, I guarantee that those numbers, specifically the HBCUs, was not specifically for the last year. That goes back to right after George Floyd. I knew that, and Target confirmed it. I also want to say that the talking points, like, you know, I'm just here as an objective a person of the media. The talking points that Reverend Dr. Jamal Bryant shared sounded very Target curated. I have worked in PR for over 20 years, and he sounded like he was a newfound ambassador for the brand.
Now, why do you think that would fly over our heads? Why would he think that? Because immediately we made this post, I literally was inside his comment section 4 minutes, 3 minutes in the post.
Well, because I will say, Dennis, and you know this, we've been colleagues for decades, that the average consumer is not always as savvy to some of these PR tactics and marketing strategies. So I think the average consumer listening to what Reverend Dr. Jamal Bryant said would probably have been, numbers are impressive, right? When you want to convince people of something, you throw out these numbers, as this marketing PR person, professional for Target, just did. The first thing she did was lean into those numbers of 10 that coincided and reflected exactly what Jamal shared in his personal podcast, that yes, $10 million to HBCUs and all this had been done prior to the boycott. That is troubling, though, because that does show that there's some agenda-driven, movement behind the scene on both sides, on all sides, right?
Yeah.
I do think that Nikema has a passion for her community. And I do understand, with her being boots on the ground, you can feel very jaded when someone comes in with a lot of hype and fanfare and they're able to get people excited. And it's like, you should have been excited because, or you should have been passionate because of what was happening, not because it became the on brand, the popular thing to do at the time. Right. So I do understand her resentment towards that, but I think it's misplaced, and it can lead to her own message becoming contorted with it being angry at Jamal and Tamika.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
Now I want to ask you this, because I also saw that because I was looking to see what Tamika Mallory said, and Tamika Mallory actually, even though Nikema named her as someone that was in cahoots with Jamal Bryant, Tamika said that the boycott is not over.
Right.
She said that the Target fast, which that is the term that the pastor Jamal Bryant coined, right? A Target fast. But she says that has ended, but the boycott is not over and accountability will continue. So what she's saying is kind of riding the line, because I know she does not want to put Jamal under the bus, but it also suggests to me that what Nikema was saying, that and her anger, there's some substance to that.
Right. Yeah, and that was very smart by
she wrote the line. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's very smart. And that's the way you're supposed to handle this, because to have you're pitting people against each other is just not a good look. And it's, I'm not going to
it makes us lose sight of the point that that Target and other large corporations that are huge beneficiaries of the Black dollar don't support us when it comes down to the economics in our community, and by supporting leaders and administration that is openly racist and moving towards ending DEI efforts and just any type of programs that benefit minorities, and that's a problem.
And here's the other part that Sister Nikema has to also think about. She's not trying to put a bigger target on her back when dealing with she's getting the wrath of the administration right now with this indictment in the case involving the enter into the church. So she needs to have these alliances out there, because she needs that support, because you're going after an attack on one organizer or protester or organizer is an attack on the other ones. So, and then she has to, keep her alliances strong and not get on national platforms bashing the ones that, it's a great idea. People have great ideas. You don't have to be the face of it. The goal is the goal.
Well, the goal is to be collective, right? The goal is for the community, but I think egos always get in place. It reminds me of the situation that was just brought up in the media. I think we talked about it when you came on the reprint earlier with Monique and Whoopi Goldberg, right? Mm-hmm. So Whoopi Goldberg understood, okay, in order to play the game, let's don't do it this way. I think Jamal and Tamika Mallory understand how to play the game. I think Nikema is passionate, boots on the ground. She doesn't care about the politics of it. The politics of it are what you just said, that you need, okay, I wash your back, you wash mine. I'm going to support you over here. I need you to put your support behind what I have going over and bring some additional visibility to what I have going on. I respect the fact that she's not, open to compromise, but I think in order to get things done, we do have to move in a strategic way as opposed to emotional.
You have to. But she took a shot at Roland too, and I'm like, that's where I said, wait a minute, sister, you got to calm down now. You're doing too much. I will
say Roland has his frat brothers back.
He has what?
He has his frat brothers back. We know that.
But listen to this. This is important, because the setup to the interview is important as well. And the way she responded, I would have probably, knowing that she's my prime guest, the guest of the show, mm-hmm. I would not lead with the person that she felt did her wrong. I wouldn't lead like that, because
that's Roland Martin, though. Roland Martin does not because Roland Martin is not just he's a little bit media, but he's more personality, right? Yeah. Activist, right?
I'm a personality too, but I know. Listen,
no, but you lead with journalistic integrity, and I'm not saying that Roland doesn't, but I'm just saying personality driven more so. And it was very clear from the point of him inviting her on the show that he was in support of Jamal Bryant.
The fact you put him on there with that shirt on and keep it letting roll for 2.5 minutes, like, come on. I know you support him, but not a player. We could have took the audio and left the shirt out.
Hey, that's that Kappa Alpha Psi. They are all that goes way back. That goes way back. But
the national coalition that you wanted to form in the middle of all of this.
No.
Took that out there. CJ, you there?
I am, but those curated talking points from Target were working, were driving me
When I had a
crazy.
conversation-
Well, we had a text or email.
Right. No.
The point is,
No, I'm gonna say what it
I
is.
said to you that they're not credible, and they're not.
No, I'm gonna say
So
what it is.
even
Hold
for
on, one
Nina
second.
and-
One second. I'm
even
gonna
for
hold
Nina
on.
and
One
Tamika
second,
to
Nakima.
stand with this man in Washington trying to call for an end to the boycott. Now they're trying to save face, talking about they're still in it. We don't need you in it. Go find something else to do with your time that doesn't involve confusing Black America at a time like this. How can you stand with this man in Washington, then turn around and say, oh, I'm still boycotting. Oh, my organization. No, you made a choice, and so did we.
So I'll say
I'm
this.
just
So
not here
again,
for any of it.
so
I'm not here
for the
for it.
purpose of the audience, when there was the meeting that with Reverend Al Sharpton and the CEO of Target, the former CEO of Target, and Pastor Jamal Bryant and others in April, then there was a whole lot of back and forth. That's when you and I talked, and I texted because one, I was asking what communication was taking place between y'all. That's when you said you did not want to work with them. That took place in April of 2025. So what I am,
Yeah,
so,
and I told you why. I said,
No, no,
try
I got
to
you.
work with them.
I
And
got
they
you.
don't have integrity, Roland. And,
I got
and
you.
as you just saw this week, that is a clear example of them not having integrity.
So I'm asking you this.
Why would Tamika and Nina show up in Washington when this man's agenda was to call for an end to the boycott? Now they're backtracking, claiming the boycott is still on. We don't need this kind of confusion in our community. They can, if they have all this organizing prowess that they claim, then prove it and show us what else you can do. We don't need their help with the Target boycott, obviously. And if the Target boycott wasn't successful, you wouldn't have a divide and conquer strategy.
CJ?
Yes. I will say this saddens me because this is, to her point, the convoluted message is a problem, right?
Mhm.
So
I agree.
the Target fast is over, but the boycott remains. That does muddy the waters, and it's difficult to get our community to work together. That's one of the things that we've talked about for years. It's difficult to get everyone to move en masse. So for them to do that and then to have this convoluted messaging is a problem. However, overall, when I hear the vitriol that's coming from her, this feels a little bit more personal. And I think she wanted Tamika and Nina to go against Jamal. And what we don't understand, what she's not comprehending is that hurts the messaging in itself.
Absolutely.
Even if you don't agree with him, the fact that what he has done has helped to push the needle forward in some way means that you have to consider him an ally in some way. I do appreciate her being committed to not being to integrity, right? Because so many times our movements we see break down because of lack of integrity, and then it's difficult to get people to come together and work in tandem. However, I do think this was inappropriate. I also think it's disrespectful for her to come on Roland Martin's show and to attempt to overtalk him. He's being respectful as in that, because I know he can go to a different place, but but I do think that it's contradictory to say they're hurting it, but then to keep casting stones to them on a public platform. At this point, it feels more personal than it does about. It's no longer about the community. It's a fight between Nakima and the organizers that she has, and her saying she doesn't want to work with them. I go back to a interview I did with Van Jones, and people can have their opinion about him either way. But there is some truth to the fact that when people are working towards a common goal, even if you're on different sides, you have to find a common ground to work together. So I feel like she should have been open to, just because of the sheer numbers and attention and visibility he brought to the situation. Now, they could have worked some of that out internally, right? But to come out and
Absolutely.
is unproductive.
It's actually selfish. If I can, it's selfish because the bigger picture, is to get the DEI program back in force, and the other objectives. And this might hurt her.
It is.
Yeah,
it will, and also it also is showing. I think it hurts us overall, because you got to look at this. To me, I was hoping that this would be the beginning, right? Because that's what Dr. Bryant said initially. this is the beginning. We're going to do this with other people. We're starting with Target. Imagine if I'm in a public relations and strategy corporate of Walmart, I'm like, whew, they can't even keep themselves together with this. We don't have to worry about it. They're not taking us seriously, right? So Amazon is like, whew, good job. Like, let them fight amongst themselves.
Right.
The
Right.
messaging is watered
That's
down.
what-
We don't have to
That was
worry
it was
about
selfish, CJ. It was selfish for her not to, and she's an attorney, so she had to come on now. You're an attorney, you know what that your words carry, some weight there, and it's
it.
gonna
Right.
yeah, you had to think that you can't say that you want to shut the door on anything that he has going on, because that's not for the if you're doing it for the black
Ego-driven.
community.
That feels ego driven. As territorial and ego, you want to be the face of it because you're in Minneapolis. If you don't have the audience and the ability to reach the bigger masses, then why would you? If you really believe in the struggle, then you would champion and align with anyone that was bringing attention to that. You don't have to agree on every single thing, but if he's bringing visibility, then that benefits you overall. If that's really what you're doing,
Right, that's right. It's no big means a little use in the struggle. It's no, and she has to realize that he has a voice. People, he has reach.
Mhm.
Tamika has reach.
Very much so.
It's just for it to play out like this on his platform, Roland's platform. It's like, why are you doing this? Like, come on, like, we really.
It feels too personal. Now I am no longer looking at it as about you're fighting for the struggle. You're just fighting them. And like I said, overall, this hurts our community because these DEI programs, there are a lot of people. I have clients that have events and programs that have been cut that are no longer able to move forward because of these DEI programs being slashed. So overall, this is hurting
That's what it's. And here's the other thing. I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a second. Those businesses that were in Target, they were in Target because Target supported the community to a certain degree.
To a certain degree.
Now, they're probably looking at Sister Nakima and saying like, "Hey, listen, we took a year off for your protest. Now
Right.
this is a slap in the face that you not even interested in us getting back to getting to our money. How you say forever for internally?
Forever.
That does
That's not. You cannot negotiate. You cannot get things. You cannot move the needle if you are unwilling to negotiate.
Yeah, that's not acceptable.
Part of politics, right? So you got to be able to have that. Okay, you give me a little, I give you a little, and that way, the economic influence in our community. That's the only thing that we have is bargaining power. So if we can't agree to do that,
so as I still shop at Target, I'm not Rainbow.
I tell you what, if I'm Amazon, I am relieved. Let them fight.
Okay, hold on. You just brought up a big. What if they said protest on Amazon? Now, come on. As entrepreneurs, we need our. We need our Amazon. I will be.
But Dennis, if we had been able to come together cohesively, and we saw Target take a dip, then that would give us the leverage to go and make demands with Amazon. You may not be able to boycott Amazon in the same way, but they would take us seriously. This right here, Jamal back, soft shoeing, and Tamika saying, well, the fast is over, but the boycott is not, and her angry throwing stones at both of them.
What does that mean? The fast is over, but the boycott. What does that mean?
I'm telling you, I am relieved. These Negroes can't get themselves together, and we don't have to worry about it.
Hold on. I gotta bring this sound effect in.
These niggas lacking.
Shouts out to Carisha.
Right. What the heck? Oh my goodness. Like, I'm people confused. I was like, screw it. I'm going back in. They're gonna lean towards I'm going back in. At this point, I'm going back in.
And it also makes it leads to disenchantment in the community because they're like, oh, y'all don't know what you're doing. I'm going back to Target because this is ridiculous. We can't ever come together on something because we start the infighting. And I hate to even acknowledge this on a public platform, but it's true. This is why our community has such a hard time getting things done because we're getting distracted by things that don't matter. Who is the face of it really doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Does not matter.
It doesn't matter. And that's the thing. It doesn't matter. You know, I don't care who's the face of it. I honestly thought that Jamal was the face of it.
I did too.
I didn't know Nakima.
Well, for all practical purposes, he whoever big bank takes little bank, whoever has the most visibility is going to become the face, but use that to your advantage. Align yourself with him. Right? I'll say, hey, he has the face, he has the people's ear. Let me get behind him for my own, for other agendas that we want push forward. And just like we saw him backtrack and say, well, really, this is all about the women. If she had,
that took a lot for him to say that, you know, like
no, it didn't take a lot. That's just, he knows, he's a wordsmith. He knows how to move. But she should have, instead of having all this anger and resentment, you know how this game is played. Align yourself over there, enlist him to support you, and then we all win. You don't have to like each other. That's one thing I've learned from other working with other cultures, and like we don't have to all have dinner together and be friends. But if we are moving towards a common goal, let's find a place to connect and get that done. And then you go forward. I think the Black community took it serious when Jamal got involved. I agree because Jamal has a point. When I interviewed him last year, you know, he has the ear of the Black church, and for years and for that's a part of our culture. We listen to what is said in the pulpit. If you want to reach the African American community, specifically our generation, you start in the pulpit, right? There's influence there. There's power there. He has a direct voice to a large group of African Americans, and he's in Atlanta now. Atlanta is a place that the Black community looks to for leadership. So she missed the ball.
Yeah. Hopefully she'll learn from this. As a publicist as well, what would be some of the advice you would give her moving forward?
Well, the first thing I would say was that she needs to have a publicist. She mentioned that he had a publicist because speaking with that type of things, it doesn't matter what's true. It matters how people receive it, right? So sometimes the truth is totally irrelevant. What's important is that she's speaking in a way that's going to continue to push her message. And I think that what she's doing now by operating in emotion is going to alienate her from a lot of people that really would want to help her. So I would say she needs a strategy, and it can't be all passion. It has to be strategy driven. And this is not strategy driven at all. This is anger, and anger causes people to shut you down and no longer listen to your message.
Absolutely. I agree with you 110%. And this is why we do media training together, because we have the experience to keep people from jumping off ledges, you know, and moving with the worst talking points. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you coming on the show. I just hope that they can get together. You know, these type of conversations should have happened in like
private,
not on a platform, more so.
Private.
Yeah.
In private. I would have used an example, and this could be a little controversial, but it's just true because we're here, right? And I don't think there's any bigger stakes in our community. But you look at what happened with when Reverend Jesse Jackson passed, right?
Oh,
and Obama spoke at his funeral. Now, those of us that know, we understand that there was some discord there, right?
Right.
But kudos to President Barack Obama for continuing to act in leadership, because leadership says it's not about you and I. It's not about the fact that Jesse Jackson spoke negatively about him. He wasn't trying to do it in public, but it ended up going to a public place. Right. Barack Obama understands that the most important thing is for us to show unity for the community, for the better good of the community. So he spoke at the funeral. Now, there was some resentment on Reverend Jesse Jackson's family side, but see that works to keep us divided. Right. It's not about, I'm sure that Barack Obama and Jesse Jackson were never sitting down to lunch and going golfing together. Right. It's not about, It is about what we need to do as a community and how we need to present ourselves so that we're taken seriously and we're able to make moves. Yes, Jesse Jackson did lay the groundwork, but they didn't agree. But that's okay. We don't have to be friends, but we do have to find common ground if we want to move forward and if we want to be taken seriously.
It made me feel like Jesse Jackson Jr. was, MAGA for a minute. I'm like, wait a minute, what are we doing here? And this even the late Reverend Jackson did not show any discourse, for Barack Obama. There was a hot mic. It was a hot mic. Now, for the son to say that at that moment, I know he's hurting and everything, but this is not the time. You got to look at the bigger picture. What would your dad do? What would your dad do?
He would not have done that. And it took away. Now, the focus is off the fact of respect and honoring his legacy, and it's on the BS. And that's
what we don't need. We don't need that it's selfish behavior. It's selfish behavior. Like, it's like you're taking away, and we see this in life. We see this in dealing with people in our circles. If there's some type of discord, you would not know it. If you and I had some type of discord, you would not know it. Because we don't know like that.
We've had discord before, and no one has known it, but us.
Oh no, just until just now. But yeah,
but we figure out a way. You figure out a way.
Adrian, get up. Adrian, get up.
Adrian is not going to get on. But for the bigger cause, you figure out a way, right? And I think that if you're going to do business and you're going to have successful business, you have to figure out a way to work with people that you do not agree on every little thing with. Right. And that I agree with you. That is a selfish behavior. It's ego-driven behavior, and we can't move our community forward if we're operating in ego.
And in this time right now,
we can't afford it.
We can't afford it. Are we looking at what's happening around the country right now?
Well, first of all, in our country, our history is being erased right in front of our eyes. The progress that a lot of us have made when it comes to corporate leadership, and this is all being threatened. All this stuff that we've been celebrating with Black-owned businesses being able to grow and Black women in leadership. All this is being threatened by this ruse to remove DEI and this administration's determination to take us backwards. And if we get caught up in as my husband says, caught in the weeds and are not paying attention to the big picture, we're going to lose out big time.
And going back to what we said previously, do you know President Trump used that situation with Obama and Jesse Jackson Jr. as a talking point?
Of course he did.
And he magnified what happened. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
But you know what? Can I say this? That's actually smart, right? That's a smart business. But if you see your enemies fighting, point it out, it makes them weaker. And that's why I said we in this boycott with Target or this fast or whatever it was, when they see us not able to agree, it does make others that we would need to, because Walmart is a problem. Walmart is a problem. I would just say that, like, I know specifically situations that Walmart has withdrawn their support, their financial support for Black and women led businesses. So if we're not able to get on one accord with Target as an example, then we are not going to be able to take on a Walmart and damn sure not an Amazon. It's a wrap. And that hurts us.
Or a presidential race. How about that?
Dear Lord. I can't even.
We might not have another election, but anyway, that's another conversation for another day. Crystal, thank you for coming on to the show. I love you. You always bring a great commentary to the show, and I just, we're gonna keep pushing the message, and educate and teach, because that's what we are supposed to do, No, anything that I said or Crystal said as it relates to this situation, this is just our opinions. It's based on experience and doing this for many years. It's not like based on just trying to pick on any one person. Pastor Jamal, the shirt, we're going to talk about that. But other than that, I love you, my brother. And
coat of many colors. But I said his coat of many colors, but it's also spoken with a love and passion for our community. And I think that I consider this a internal discussion, right? With Black media outlet, We are Black media leaders, and this conversation is for us. And I think that's why we can speak, honestly about issues on both sides, but it really comes from a place of love for all the community, and a deep amount of respect for both Nikema and Jamal and Tamika, definitely Tamika Mallory and Nina and everyone involved, a deep amount of respect, but we want to just see our community make strides.
Yeah. We want to see our community win, and that's the goal. That's the goal. That's it. Always, if we can win, then everyone wins. So it's not no big me and little U's. Just let's stick to the plan and have a strategy moving forward. This is a lesson. People have to just realize that if you're an organizer, someone thinking about being an organizer, and you want to bring other people involved, you know that you have to create a olive branch with those people that you don't really agree with everything they're doing, but you are able to put that aside to get your agenda, objective, and goal reached. And at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining the show. CJ, I'll see you on our next show.
Sounds good.
I got to take us out the way we started. Everyone in the comment section, I appreciate you as well. But I need to. I got a bunch of stuff to do with Saturday. I know your husband probably has some plans for you today as well.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dennis. I'll see you next time.
See you next time. Thank you, CJ. Guys, thank you for joining the show, and I'll see you on our next live.
Yeah, from the culture
To the courtroom.
This is Truth Uncut. From the culture to the courtroom, front row seats when Dennis Byron speaks. History speaks. From the culture to the courtroom, front row seats when Dennis Byron speaks. History speaks from the culture.
No cap, no spin, just facts. If it matters, we cover it. On Shreddy, B.I.B.